All right, so we should have a few more people trickling in, but throughout the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them down in the Q&A section down at the bottom of your screen. And Ynvisible, take away.
Thanks so much, Investor Summit. Hello, I'm Michael Robinson. Joining you actually from Medica and Compomed in Dusseldorf, Germany. And I'm joined today by our partners at Ynvisible, Amir Khoshniyati from Identiv and Eric Manson from Innoscentia. I'm very happy, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm very happy to share the stage with two partners and customers to share a little bit more about our journey. We're taking a slightly different approach in this presentation to sharing a little bit more about the Ynvisible journey by turning it over to our partners and customers to talk about our developments, kind of bring you up to speed with what we've shared with our investors and our customers, our other customers as well, and kind of highlight some of the benefits of our partnerships, our technology and our partnerships. But before I jump in, just for anyone who is not familiar with Ynvisible, we are manufacturers of thin, flexible, printed electrochromic displays. These displays replace displays that are currently in the market, like LCDs, or what are called OLED displays, organic lit light emitting displays. I apologize for the delay in the buffering here. But our displays are thin, flexible, ultra low powered, and highly durable. They can be integrated into thin, flexible electronics, and they're manufactured in what's called roll-to-roll form. So we can produce very, very, very high volumes of displays for types of applications like on packaging and the applications that we're going to speak to today. But before we get there, just wanted to highlight some forward-looking statements. Just take a moment to read. This is kind of the standard verbiage for our forward-looking statements. Okay, without further ado, I just want to introduce our partners and customers with an understanding that both leadership and our partners really make Ynvisible successful. And with the leadership of over 50 years of printed electronics and electrochromic technology experience, as well as consumer-facing product experience and innovation experience, we make up a very diverse global team of 30 people in Linköping, Sweden, where our production facility is located, in really the center of excellence for electrochromic display technology. Lisbon, Portugal, where we were founded and is our home of our development and sheet-to-sheet manufacturing services. So those are our pilot services for our electrochromic displays. And Freiburg in Brisgau, Germany, where our small research team is located, and we have access to the Center of Excellence around the fundamental chemistries for our technology and development services for our technology. The most important is our partner network, and I just wanted to highlight a few of those partners here, namely RISE. RISE is a key partner in the development of the core intellectual property for the electrochromic technology, and a major player in the ecosystem of this technology and our partner. Again, Identiv and Innoscentia are both partners and customers for us, and I'm very much looking forward to introducing them. Without further ado, I wanted to introduce Amir Khoshniyati, and please correct me if I mispronounced your name, Amir. He's the General Manager and Vice President of the transponder business at Identiv, also the Vice Chair of the NFC Forum and an advisor to an energy startup. Amir, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it from here.
Thanks, Michael, and happy to be here. And yes, we are an existing organization from a transponder standpoint, but we are very, very fast growing. We're on a 30+% growth trajectory for the year, and we're really going for a 40+ for the coming year. And really, it's a globally set mindset. And building on that, we're very excited to be joined here with the Ynvisible team to talk about the synergies we have from an end-to-end offering and really what we see the market going towards from a cold chain perspective. So really eager to kickstart the discussions around what we're seeing and how the partnership is really coming together over the last couple years and how we're accelerating into 2022.
Thank you so much, Amir. To kind of go forward, in December 2019, Ynvisible and Identiv announced a collaboration to develop an NFC-based temperature tracking solution that integrated Invisible's display into a thin, flexible, label-based solution for cold chain monitoring and other sensing. Just to give a little bit of background about Identiv, Identiv is one of the leaders in the design, development, and inlay manufacturing for high-frequency near-field communication, or NFC, inlays and solutions. If anyone's checked Identiv's Q2 reports, again, that double-digit growth, about 26% growth in total revenue, so very successful while also driving costs down. And we'll speak a little bit to that as we talk about how our technologies come together to bring win-win solutions. But the key here is this is really, our partnership really just began at the beginning of COVID. And what we've been able to do over the past year is develop a solution that we're really looking forward to bringing to our customers in early 2022. But what I really want to dive into here, Amir, and is that technology fit, first and foremost. So Ynvisible, we manufacture thin, printed electrochromic displays that are ultra low power. How does that combination of Ynvisible's technology with Identiv's know-how really create the best synergies for Identiv and for your end customers?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Michael. When we look at it as a leader in designing, developing, manufacturing RFID products, and specifically on the topic of HFNFC, we're in a state where there's a lot of demand in cold chain. And with that demand in cold chain, there's a lot of compliancy when it has to do with the movement of products from a inception phase, whether it's a manufacturing site, to distributions, to really the end destinations. And in many times, these compliancy requirements in cold chain require ongoing monitoring. And what we've historically ran into is this ongoing monitoring requires some level of capital expenditure. So if you have a refrigerated truck that is moving steak, lettuce heads, whatever the case might be, even vaccines to some degree at a controlled temperature, there's a lot of infrastructure requirements needed for that. And when we look at it from an HFNFC perspective, there's an opportunity for a logger in an active state that can have set intervals to basically have readability. Now, also what we've seen is a requirement for visual representations of what's going on. So if someone is going into one of these cold chain trucks and they're looking at it from a standpoint of just validating that crate, that pallet, or that item level, that visual inspection needs some level of safeguard. And that's where we run short from a manufacturing standpoint, and we really are reliant on technologies that are innovative and they're cost effective. And that's really where the synergy between Ynvisible really came to fruition. So this is a really good slide. I'm glad from a talking point it aligned very well, because it shows that from a optical level, the viewpoint you get with the Ynvisible technology. So you have within this card-shaped product a NFC design antenna that's attached to a battery, and then that is working off of the Ynvisible logic. And what we're able to do is depict on a visual standpoint various what-if scenarios. So this one, for example, has a activation check mark for the logger basically set in an interval state. It has a threshold, so if the temperature actually exceeds a set variance, we can note that. So if an inspector, again, is going into a crate, pallet, or item level inspection, and they're looking at a steak or cabbage head or a vaccine, and they see that for some reason it exceeded that set temperature, that what if scenario would be checked off. And then similar to that, if the low variance comes into play, you have that also denoted there. And from our standpoint, one side is the technology and having it be innovative and not require line of sight. The other standpoint of it, there's a lot of requirements that actually visually you have to go in there for a compliance standpoint and check that out. And this is the best of both worlds. And again, when we're able to do it in a printed format, we're able to save cost. And that really hits home in a very cost sensitive segment. So anything within cold chain, within food or healthcare pharma, typically those higher volumes demand a lower ASP, and what we look for a higher margin. So we have to find the middle ground here. And that's where we need to get innovative with the printed technologies. And that's where this partnership really came to fruition and has been accelerated.
Thanks so much, Amir. And I apologize to you and the audience for that technical glitch. I meant to share that slide, but I think this is exactly it. And just to kind of summarize that, our roll-to-roll production capability is really what comes into play here in helping drive down costs while delivering a label format that can be distributed across customers' products. So no longer would someone need to apply a temperature sensor or logger just to one container, but they're able to distribute that technology across products now, given this thin, flexible, low power format. And that adds a dimension of safety and security, not only for the customer, but also for those compliance, right? So for that compliance and to meet those compliance requirements that are so important in these industries. I think to that point, one of the things that I've really appreciated about working with Ynvisible, our teams working together, Identiv. Identiv's focus on customer centricity and how that really leads to success in commercialization. There's a very strong driving sense around the end customer and the end customer needs. As the technology plays a critical role in addressing those needs, can you speak to how Identiv really keeps the customer at the center of everything that you do to maximize the value of those end solutions?
When we look at market demand, we try to see where the trajectories are. We know right now trajectory is very strong within cold chain. So again, we're very honed in on healthcare pharma, and we see food also emerging, and they're demanding some innovative technologies. Now, that's the market pulse. Now, what we try to do is we have some flagship customers that we're really focused on, and we typically work close with them on a quarterly basis for a voice of a customer type review. And we get a lot of feedback on how the technology is working. And typically, we like to see that at least we're at an 80% threshold on a technology fit. And we always have about a 20% gap for innovation. And this innovation is always rolling in a very, very streamlined manner. And a lot of the things that we're seeing on the logger front have followed that same trajectory. we've seen a lot of price sensitivity, and this is Michael, where we've been able to really collaborate and get innovative. That at item level, it was too expensive, but as we moved from item to crate or to pallet, we were in a very strong safeguard for these compliancy requirements. And that's the type of innovation and basically agility we're looking for when we get the technology rolled out for a customer. Now there's roadmap things that we're looking at, but typically we start with that voice of the customer, and we like to see what is repeatable in a very streamlined manner, so we can work with a lot of reference customers that are very similar to that application, but fall under the same umbrella of the same segment ultimately.
Excellent. Thank you, Amir. And you know, that customer centricity, as I say, it starts and ends with the customer, right? It begins really there. We're really looking forward to continuing to support the commercialization effort of this product and hopefully expand that offering. But it really starts with being able to test, as you said. I think looking at 2022, we're looking at being able to bring this to our customers to test and qualify in their cold chains. And as you can see behind me, there's some things shutting down here. I hope I don't get shut down at this, so I'll move pretty quickly. Amir, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to also introduce Eric Manson at Innoscentia. Innoscentia is a leader in the space of food sustainability and addressing food waste. And Eric, I'll let you introduce yourself here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Michael, and thanks a lot for having us here. Really nice to speak about sort of what we have done and what we are doing together with you at Ynvisible. So hi everyone, my name is Eric Manson. I'm the CEO of a Swedish Indian food tech company called Innoscentia. So we're based, our headquarters are based out of Sweden, and then we have an R&D facility in Hyderabad, India, where we work mainly with developing what we call the dynamic shelf life labels. That is the core innovation that we are developing, and I guess we'll come into that. But I mean, the main reason for why we exist is because we as well, as Amir was talking about, want to be a part of the emerging trends in the food industry, basically, and especially when it has to do with the food that we throw away. So most of the food that is thrown away today is still eatable, and a lot of the problem lies with the expiry dates and the shelf life system we have built. So we want to enable a move from the static expiry dates to a more dynamic shelf life and dynamic shelf expiry dates, where we can monitor the status of our food in real time. And one of the results in that work we see here, and I guess that's what we will talk about now, Michael. Is that right?
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. Yeah. And our collaboration really began in 2020, but it preceded that. You are in the Swedish ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, and with the R.dot team coming on board to Ynvisible, they also introduced us to Innoscentia, and we're very thankful for that introduction and helping you move forward. The opportunity here from a technology perspective is actually a little bit more complex, right? Because what you have is actually you have two technologies at play. Yeah. A display technology that helps you user understand the status of that food and prevent waste, but also there's a core technology that Innoscentia is delivering, and I think Ynvisible is supporting you with. Can you explain a little bit more about that core technology?
Absolutely, and I think in the core of all there is an ink. So we are a company that in its core develops this reactive ink, and it's an ink that can sense the amounts of what we call volatile organic compounds in an enclosed environment, for example, a package of food. So in the degradation process of food, we start off in meat, but this happens with all type of organic products. There is bacteria growing, and these bacteria, they emit certain types of gases. So if you can measure the amounts of gases in the package, you can basically measure the amounts of bacteria. So that's what we're doing. This ink we apply on an electrode. That's a part where we are highly involved with the team in Portugal to make our ink printable in high volumes on carbon electrodes. And this electrode then is connected to the circuit, to the display, but also to a tag. In this case, it's an NFC tag, could be an RFID tag, could in some cases also be a Bluetooth tag. We're working to develop that technology as we speak. But the ink, what it does is that it changes its resistivity. So the resistivity and then the ability to run a current through the system changes with the gas concentration inside the package. And that's what we're actually measuring. So basically, you will get this information on the display, but then you can get more in-depth information from a digital system in your smartphone, in a bigger ERP system for a retailer, for example, or even on a bigger, more aggregated scale where you want to follow the development of your shelf life in all your products as a producer. So there's benefits for all players here, and not at least the end consumer, who actually can save a lot of food. So we believe, I mean, we really believe this is the future. With that said, I think in this case, I represent more of the R&D customers that you guys have. Amir is on a high growth journey, and we are still developing our products. But hopefully we will be out on the market, at least pilot testing this during next year. And as you all understand, I mean, the food industry and the food market is gigantic. And we already see a very big interest. So the customers are just waiting for the technology to be ready. And we think we will have it quite soon.
Thank you so much, Eric. It really hit me when you shared with us very early on that almost 200 billion US dollars of food are disposed of. And almost 83% of that is still good. Those numbers are mind-boggling, from a global perspective, and being able to address that, it's a very, very clear opportunity. I mean, in particular, what a timely opportunity with the focus on sustainability, global sustainability, in the recent weeks. You touched on this. We engage with both large established partners and customers like Identiv, but also with promising startups that are engaged in solving world-changing problems like Innoscentia. And the range of our capabilities support everything from the display production and integration to making things printable and functional for our customers. Now, from a commercialization perspective, as a startup, what are you looking forward to as your commercialization roadmap in the coming months and years? I mean,
we're standing on two legs basically here with our products. We have an analog version of this that we are starting commercially testing in beginning of next year. That we see as a sort of first step product for the market to start adjusting to this type of dynamic shelf life. But I'm very much looking forward to starting testing the digital version to see all the sort of dynamic effects we can create out of that. I mean, there's basically everything from shelf life notification to connection with smart home. There's dynamic routing, there's dynamic pricing. So as soon as we have this data digitalized in real time, there's so much that we can do with it. So much looking forward to that. And I want to highlight what you just said. I mean, the ability for Ynvisible to work with our type of problems, where we have everything from sort of project leaders with fantastic technical skills in the R2R team that you guys acquired, to the R&D site in Portugal, to the collaboration with RISE in Sweden, where we visited their facilities several times. I mean, that's been invaluable for us to create this platform and to create the prototype that we see here. So very much looking forward to the continuation of that work as well, where I really much agree with Amir. I mean, the ability to print this in a high volume, on a roll-to-roll basis, that's what's going to drive the possibility for this to be commercialized. This is thought as a product that is attached one label per package. And I think everyone can understand that if that's the case, well, then we need a low-cost product that we can produce at high volumes. So I think that the possibilities are endless if we combine sort of the technology that we have and then the R&D and production capabilities of Ynvisible. So yeah, very much looking forward to that, mainly during next year, but definitely then during the years ahead.
Eric, thank you so much. Amir, Eric, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to kind of in the last few minutes, I'm going to bring us through Ynvisible's capabilities. You're welcome to stay, but thank you again, Identiv and Innoscentia, really two major partners of ours, and we're really thankful to have you this evening. And yes, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you,
Really
Michael. Thank you, Eric. Take care.
Thank you. So just to kind of bring us back to what we talked about, Ynvisible Interactive's capabilities range from prototyping through manufacturing and conversion, and include some upfront research, the development and contracted research of our inks and technologies, including testing. And those roll-to-roll production capabilities that we talked about, those are the high volume capacity or high volume opportunity, high volume production that really brings a cost-effective display solution that you cannot achieve from common LCD screens or other display technologies like OLED. So printing, conversion, and testing all under one roof in Linköping, Sweden. We also bring that contract development and scale up service for our customers. That's been an ongoing source of revenue for us, and we look forward to continuing that capability for our customers as they're in their growth phases of their technologies. Just to give you a kind of summary of the problems that we solve, really that's around making everyday data easy to unlock in everyday products that provide safety, security, reassurance, and joy. Some of the markets that we play in are in temperature sensing labels, particular for cold chain and supply chain application is the larger kind of market there. Sanitary, medical technology is a key area for us, and what we call smart play. Smart play is really the opportunity to create objects and support joy and play that also pushes the boundaries of our technology and helps demonstrate to our other customers, the power of the Ynvisible technology. Really, our growth is predicated on our sales and market expansion and commercialization. We also have the ability to out-license our technology as we see the distribution of electrochromic displays as really the ultimate vector for growth. And we look forward to growing in the North American market as well. This is our board ownership, and I apologize, some data here might be a little bit outdated as of April, but to give you a real sense of who our board is, we're made up of cross-industry expertise. Our executive chairman is Ramin Haider-Boer, who has a background from the label industry at Avery Dennison, and our advisors are also a cross-section of industry, including Dr. Harlan Biker, the founder and CEO of Pleotint, one of the progenitors of electrochromic technology as applied to rear view mirrors. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Q&A if we have a minute, but if you're interested in contacting our investor relations, IR@Ynvisible, that's with a Y, Ynvisible ynvisible.com. We're on the TSXV, YNV, OTCQB at YNVYF, and the Frankfurt Exchange under GR. Thank you so much for your time.